Okay, cool. Great. Oh, onegaishimasu. Oh, good. We'll just start with releasing that. Let's just keep playing with a little bit different hand positions. Just kind of work gradually up, so looking a little bit up to the side, keeping the shoulders soft, and work out a bit of tension down the arm. Work all the way up to the top. And then as the play, we're just coming down the front. So again, just keep it slow. Work the arms in the front, back down to the side. And then just play with going the opposite direction. He's in out. Front. And now to the side so that. And then just work with any direction with it, just passing the arms around. If you feel any kind of point of tension in the shoulder, maybe just play with holding that position, maybe lowering a little bit further down. Check out a little bit more there. Take it to another position. Just kind of work gradually between the positions. Do a little bit to the corners, like you're looking, like you're taking to the edge of the room. That's a nice one. So going maybe a little bit to the back, just opening up the shoulders a little bit. Stay straight. And then just shake out the arms a little bit, release the fingers, wrists, elbows. Just shake the forearms out a little bit. And then we'll just take it into a swinging motion, front and back. Once you got the body kind of swaying, pendulum, then just start to play with the arm positions. Nice one to kind of go front and back with the arm, open up the shoulders, reaching forward and back. And also a nice one just to kind of keep the head, hands above the head. Hold them kind of lightly above the head. Bowing, unbowing the back. And again, just try and keep a constant pendulum swing of the body. And once you've explored one position of it, just take it somewhere else. And just play with totally increasing it, so maybe take it more like a forward fold, maybe more gentle back bend. And start to notice the breath as you're doing it. And maybe just holding the down position a little bit, let your head release. Releasing the shoulders. Try and keep that kind of swing going, so you've got a little bit of pendulum movement from the tailbone to the top of the hip. If you find the hands getting in the way, you can also just gently collect them above the head. You feel a lot of tension in the hamstring, back of the knee. Just play with releasing the knees a little bit, maybe take the movement up a little bit higher. And then from this position, just take it to a side to side rock. You probably won't get the hands Another way that you could do this with the hands down. And then nice and slowly just starting to draw the body up to standing. Keep that sway going side to side. Gentle rock. And just keep that going, make it a little bit bigger. Then can I really open up the space between the armpit and the hip? First one with the arms, just let the arm that's kind of leading this way really drop. Maybe just hold it a couple of seconds. With a rock, just feel the shoulder kind of drag down. Feeling like kind of create a little bit of traction through the joint. You've got a heavy weight in the arm and just let it release down. And it will very similar, it's just taking it more like a figure of eight pattern. So you think about the shoulders and the hips with a very slight pull away from each other. And don't force it, just allow the movement to open up the body there. Think about doing more like a track now, so you're kind of going, weaving in and out, and you can take that track the other direction. And from there, just taking more into rotation. So first thing, just really listen to the knees. Let the knees release. Should really be no tension in them. So try and avoid any kind of twisting the knee joint. If you feel that, let the feet kind of play, coming out of the ground. The rotation quite light. And the next thing, just think about, if you think about the belly button and the tip of the nose, or the back of the head, the bony part of the head, think about them just moving together on one line. To points in the space, you can maybe just check out objects, like kind of attention to be drawn to them. Allow the body to rotate towards them fully. So think about kind of the whole belly, back. Finding that position. Okay, cool. And then think about this one's easier if you look first and then rotate. So you're going to kind of split the body now in the sense that the belly's going to go one way and the head's going to look the other. So just adds a little bit more torsion. But then the body will naturally kind of start to follow. And particularly most of the time we're kind of training that connection. But think about just adding a little bit of torsion now for it. Again, keep it gentle to start. And if the spine feels pretty flexible, maybe start to increase the rotation, torsion. So the best way to think about it is if you think about looking at something over your shoulder and then just allowing or just seeing whether the maximum amount of rotation I can create in the torso. Again, keep it light so you're not putting too much torsion in the spine. But again, if you think about a lot of the 𝘭𝘪𝑷𝘦 work that we're doing, it's actually working in this area where the spine's actually being torsioned, and the demand on the body is to be supple at those moments, but also strong in the spine to protect it. So you might start to notice like the belly and the back start to maybe come into contraction a little bit. That's kind of the natural response, actually what you want, because the kind of whole abdomen is going to try and protect particularly the lower spine, the lumbar spine, which isn't very flexible at all. Or it is able to rotate, but it's got limits. So. And then with that, just start to play with the legs a little bit. So the nice one that you could do with this is like crossing over quite narrow with the feet and doing the same kind of exercise. So looking one way and letting the body torsion the other. So just go with the leg. And again, if it's kind of if that's uncomfortable there, too narrow, you feel a lot of tension in the knees. And keep it light, just open up the space a little bit more. So take one foot, cross it over, and then look one way, rotate the other. You could mix and match. Basically, you've got a lot of options in terms of direction. Obviously, you've got two legs; they can cross over both ways, and you can look either way, and you can torsion the body either way. So you've got be like 8 options really. But really an infinite amount in terms of movements. Just play maybe with a little bit like a lunge position, maybe also you could take this into a squat position, if you feel like it. We're a little bit lower, but just play with kind of different orientations for the legs, and again crossing them over, squatting a little bit deeper maybe, and just play with again, rotating, turning. Use the head to kind of be the kind of director, and let the rest of the body either go with it or maybe counter rotate it. Nice. If you think a lot of there's some really great exercises in the speed skater world. They're really great conditioning stuff. And actually, Yoko Okamoto does some of her exercises work that's taken from speed skater kind of warm-ups and routines. They're actually really cool. Actually, very super athletic. Lots of spiral work, rotation. Really cool stuff. So. And then as you do it, just start to think about the arm. So if you think about not too much structure, and actually the nice one is to kind of wrap the arm. So if you took 2 points, one would be like the top of the shoulder, like the trapezius, and then the other one would be like underside of the armpit, really kind of reaching around the lat. So that's like a nice one that's kind of close, more like a kind of really like a self-soothing kind of motion, but it's like that, this, and then you just create a little bit of tension there and play with, again, just rotating in and out of it. So you can do this. There's a kind of set routine that's really nice routine from a fascial training exercise system. And it's stuff that we're kind of quite used to in Aikido, particularly if you think about 𝗧𝗔𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗨𝗦𝗨, where the arms are being kind of wrapped, entangled, and then the body's being rotated, turned, twisted. This is why if the techniques are done well, they're kind of healthy for the body. Done very badly. No, Ukemi's very resistant, really bad for the body, but done the right way, they can be nice. So then just think about, again, the arms. You can have them close to the body, maybe wrapped at the elbow, and then maybe also just free from the body. So you're thinking about maybe protective movements like you would make in 𝘭𝘪𝘵𝗧𝗎 work. Yeah, just exploring arm positions. You can also think about kotegaeshi, shihonage. Loads of stuff to play with in this, and it will just kind of come up as you play with it. Your body, you'll find your body going into kind of very familiar patterns. Nice. And then just play within it. And also, again, just noticing the breath. There's obviously kind of specific breathwork patterns you could look at. Mostly designed to kind of create pressure and release pressure in the body, or things like bracing the spine so that it's secure. But mostly just working with the breath, seeing how it's harmonizing with the movement or not, and then just seeing to adjust it there. A bit of time just to play with that. And again, you can think about coming a little bit lower, maybe a little more squat positions, maybe start to bring the knee to the ground if the legs are kind of feeling nice and free. And maybe starting to walk around with it, maybe stepping around. And just explore really different patterns with it. You can take this really anywhere. And in the Seitai system, the rotation movement really is taught in a way where it's like a fighting movement. So if you think about a lot of the movements that we're making or coming into Kamae, these are kind of working in this kind of rotation, turning, protecting kind of movement. So often that basic movement that we usually do in the beginning, taken from the Seitai stuff, working in this, well, one of the ways it's kind of taught is a way that it's like a fighting gesture, or it's a protective gesture. Okay. So, right. Very nice. Yeah. Great. And then we'll just release out a little bit. So if you think about the wave kind of motion, do it. Just again, play with the legs a little bit, and just see if you can find that wave in one part of the body. Or maybe it just kind of it's limited to the upper chest, upper back, and head and neck. Maybe I can start to reach into the shoulders. Maybe it starts to go into the hips. Maybe it starts to go into the knees. And just start to play with it a little bit. There's just a nice one that you can do, which is like going into a squat and seeing how many kind of wave patterns you can go, or you can kind of pass through it. So people are very good at this, incredibly good at it. You maybe fit like 20 waveforms within a low squat, up and down. And then the main thing is just play with it, listen to the body, and stress on the system. And you know, it's kind of in one area that's particularly tight, it's working a little bit. And that might mean kind of coming out of that kind of symmetrical straight pattern. And maybe it means starting to kind of work one side. So in my case, the kind of right shoulder starting to talk to me a lot. So maybe it means just working into it a little bit. And then just start to take it nice and free. So just really take it anywhere and keep that sense of a wave through the body. There's kind of nice visualization I go to is this one is like the arms like a thick, heavy rope. So there's really not so much going on in the kind of forearm, hand, elbow, as released as possible. And if I'm feeling tension at that point, just shake out a little bit, just release it with a bit of that shake maybe, and then just keep going into the motion. And that's really just about trying to create a really strong connection of the arms to the back, where it's where the arms are really kind of originating from. Yes. And then we kind of followed one of the exercises we were doing the other day. If you think about like a reach out, maybe it's a pull and push kind of motion. But again, just something where you're going to start to reach, extend, open up. And again, that can be done like both hands. Maybe it's just one. And then the next one from that would be maybe it's reaching both ways. So maybe it's two directions. Maybe it's two directions. And then again, really start to explore, expand the motion, work up and down, in and out. And if you think about really simple gestures like reaching out, pulling, pushing maybe. That can be done with any point of the arm. So you could think about doing that with a hand. You could also think about maybe doing it with the elbows, maybe the forearms, the kind of top of the bicep, maybe the back side of the arm swinging through. So just take your awareness to different parts of the joint, of the limb. And stuff that we do all the time. If you think about a lot of the 𝘭𝘢𝘪𝘊𝘁, 𝘭𝘪𝘊𝘁 kind of work, connection point's not really the hand, but it's like the top side of the arm. And then working with the movement through. So then just start to explore kind of motions, kind of naturally gravitate towards the room. This really nice technique, nice kind of waveform through it. Just kind of find a kind of pattern that's nice, explore it a little bit. Yawning's okay. Yawning's good. Also helps. Good. Very good. Right. And then next, just give yourself a little bit of kind of resistance with it. So you're going to just take a grip on one side. Keep it very light. So Lewis would say, well, this was a really good one. It's just like, you're not trying to win the exercise. So it's not that I'm kind of gripping one side and trying to like pull the arm away. You're just using it for contact. So it can be in any part of the arm. And once you kind of played with one area, you can just work with it. But just keep a loose grip. And you want a grip where you can feel the forearm and the musculature and the skin kind of moving on the bone. So if I go too hard with that, you might start to feel that it's becoming really restricted. So keep a light grip or a loose grip, full contact, and then just start to kind of play within the joint of it. Once you've got that feeling, so the forearm starts to move, maybe start to feel the bones in the forearm also starting to turn, and then start to play with it. So start to kind of reach out with it, maybe come back, maybe play with making fists or different hand positions, find a hinko or anything. Reaching out. Okay, just noticing what's happening for that point of contact. And again, stuff we do all the time. Think about all the 𝘭𝘪𝘷𝘦 stuff that we're doing. So working within the grip. And just notice both points of contact. So you've obviously got the sensations you've got in the forearm, and obviously all the sensation going on in the hand. And you can separate those in terms of feeling, and obviously bring them back together in terms of what's going on there. And then once you kind of explored a little bit there, just maybe take another hand position or switch. And you can really take this anywhere, but generally do this forearm down, forearm up to the elbow. You could do this on any part of the body. You could do this also on the legs. Shin's a good one to do. You kind of mirror for the forearm down in the body. And just start to notice particularly the shoulders you do this. So the shoulder mobility. And again, if I'm working too strong a grip, too much kind of power, maybe I start to lock the shoulder joint. So okay, again, quite easy. Once I feel kind of free with it, maybe start to play with expanding the hand open. So going more like a kind of 𝘭𝑄 open hand shape, and maybe also like a fist kind of shape. So, and then exploring. Again, you don't want to feel restrictions in either position. So particularly the fist, maybe it starts to contract the bicep. Just play with it and releasing it. And again, once you explore one side, maybe switch to the other. And if you notice any kind of tender points, particularly for us, you might feel that the top of the forearm here, you've got a really strong nerve plexus. A lot of heavy, hard gripping, weapon work tends to kind of tighten that, like tennis elbow kind of stuff. The other one that's new to me was a point here where it's the bicep insertion point in the arm, and I injured it doing archery, so that's one that's flared up recently. So again, just explore. Maybe it means kind of pressing a little bit with the thumbs. If you find anything that's kind of tender, and just explore it a little bit. And then next one is just like kind of wrap. So I do this also sometimes with a partner, but you think about taking a grip, opening up, kind of escaping the grip or drawing out to it, and then taking another grip. So it becomes a kind of snaking motion. It's a really nice one to do solo. And with a partner, it's also a really great one. Kind of just explore, again, different grips, different hand positions, and then again, just trying to kind of peel out of the point of contact. Obviously, it's very easy to escape out of it and kind of pull away from it, separate. But if you're looking at a lot of the Aikido works, the Aikido techniques that we're doing, they don't deal in kind of separating the contact. They deal really with working within it and folding within it, really. So you start to get like a snaking of the hands, maybe. Think about spirals, whipping motions, maybe. And as we're kind of working there, just start to maybe work with the wrist. So you've obviously got the formal set I do quite a lot, which is the kotegaeshi, nikkyo, sankyo, or whatever. Just start to play with it. So again, you can work the fingers, different positions. And I would kind of also progress this to another level where you're finding joint locks, escaping, freeing yourself, and then again, looking for a joint lock on the palm. But again, it's one that you can do on your own. You can also do it with things like these kind of things and play with, again, kind of twisting motions, different ways, and kind of working the body. So there's lots of possibilities with these exercises. But a simple one you can do anywhere, anytime. It's just, again, working the hands, fingers, wrist. Play with the fingers, the thumbs, maybe. We don't do a lot of finger locks, thumb locks, but there are examples in the system we've got. Just apart from anything else useful to showing for help. You've got a particular sore, tender one. be careful with it, but also work within it. And then last one, maybe just working the fingers. So maybe interlocking them, maybe also like this position, just play with different positions of the hand, maybe just one finger at a time, just work the fingers, see where you need to work a little bit. Maybe you've got one hand particularly tight. Nice way to check that, you can just check in this point of contact on the thumb. You got a big, nice point of fascia kind of going over the thumb. That's very tight, tends to be a good signifier of the rest of the body's maybe a little bit tighter. We've got another one in the cheek, each cheek. And then just maybe and then back into the hand, working up and down the arm. And that's just going to a little bit of like a light kind of slapping down the arm, up and down. So really like an open hand, like a cupping, slapping motion. You could do this with any hand shape. Again, just depends on the quality of contact you want. You could also take this like a hammer fist, different parts of the body. So one of the points here is also the elbow, the inside of the elbow crease, something like that. Clooney, elbow something, elbow hinge. And then we'll just work back onto very carefully into the back of the neck. Very light with this one. Go a little bit up onto the head, gentle taps. Also nice use of the fingers with this. I think about kind of raindrops on the head. And we'll work back down. And just go into like if you go into like the clavicle, again, very light, just go into like a tapping open hand position. So like left side, work it around a little bit, tap to the right. Keep the rest of the body relaxed. And we'll just work down a bit. If you think about the diaphragm, just kind of patting around it. And then maybe onto the sides, ribs. Working both sides. And onto the belly. We'll just go down the rest of the front. So if you think about the groin, hip, working down to the thigh. Stick with the front of the thigh for now. Get a little bit to the sides maybe. We'll come back up the other way. About the knee, front of the knee. Working down the shin. Might go a little bit stronger with the shin because it's quite tough. And we'll skip the feet, although you could think about coming back up the back side of the leg, the calf. Back of the knees are a great one. You've got lots of lymph nodes in the back of the knee. Up the hamstrings, back of the leg, to the glute. Hip. And then just work your way across to the other side. Again, kind of groin, hip. Working down the thigh. The knee. Shin bone. Coming at a really strange time. And into the calf. Working your way up. And the back of the knee. Up the hamstring, back of the leg. And then just work a little bit on the hips. I'm going to make a slight fist, a very loose one. If you think about kind of side to side, you can use different parts of the fist. And you can think of it as kind of conditioning as well for the body and also the hands. And then very gently, just often to go where you. This one's nice if you make contact with the back of the fist, just kind of rubbing. You're more into circles. You could do this with a pat, but just be careful in that area. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. And then just play with working your way up a little bit more. And we just take it back onto the belly. So again, if you go to like a rub hand position, you can do this lots of ways. You can do a circle the same way. You can kind of separate them. You can go cross side to side. 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, you're like a nurse. And then just stick it like that. And just kind of make it a bit smaller, working around basically around the belly button. Ombligo. Interesting idea I came across the other day. This is the first scar of the body. Most people. It tends to be quite tender for most people. And then the last one we'll do here before we do the weapons, we'll just do a nice simple breath one. So it's just a neutral position with the feet. Just think about a kind of side raising of the hands with the in-breath. Basically where we started, and then just let them come down the front with the out-breath. Just keep a kind of warm, gentle motion, no holding of the breath. Breathe out and then start the motion in. And just follow the breath with it. Go to your own breath in own timing. Let's try work with like an in-breath through the nose and an out-breath through the mouth. So kind of a draw in through the nose. And a nice slow exhale. So try and make the exhale as long as you can. Ideally, it's going to be kind of longer than the in-breath. But again, just keep the breath flowing as you do it. Just follow your own. We'll just do a few there. That's very simple breath work. Nice. Right. Yeah. And again, just noticing things, think about balance in the body. Maybe you feel a little bit more weight on one side of the body. Maybe one shoulder's a little bit more stiff. Just notice it. And again, maybe just using the breath a bit to open up the space in the body. And then next we'll just do the opposite. So if you think about bringing the hands up to the front, breath in. Let the arms kind of hang at the top and then breathe out, coming down the sides, down and out. Front and up. Side and up. And just notice the hand position, so the orientation of the hands, the palms, particularly to the movement. There's lots of things you can play with this. You can go up, the palms down, looking to the ground, and as they raise up, maybe the palm starts going to looking to the ceiling or looking to the sky, and then following the motion out to the side. And just play with that breathwork pattern in through the nose, out through the mouth, longer exhale than the inhale. And again, no holding of the breath, just a kind of gentle flow through the pattern. Nose. And then when you finish that last breath out, arms to the side, just check out a little bit more. Release out. Again, just notice any tension. Very good. Okay, we'll do some bokken. Let's get our bokken. What's the temperature, Serena? High.
Yeah, it's about 34 degrees at the moment, and it's really humid.
Right.
Yeah. So here's my bokken. It's a
what have you got?
stick room somewhere.
Okay, cool.
It'll work.
It'll work. All right, cool. Let's just go. We'll just go gently into the first 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧. So first thing is just notice the 𝗧𝗪𝗧. Take your time a little bit in it. Again, just use a very supple kind of vibration, a very subtle vibration through the body. Again, just notice tension in the body. When you feel the kind of weapons kind of really clearly attached to the body, just work your way into the 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧, and then very lightly with the focus. And again, if you want, you can go into the next cut or just again come back into kamae. So again, particularly if you're noticing tension in the shoulders, in the grip, maybe in the ankles, give yourself space in the kamae just to kind of settle into it. And it might be that my kamae is kind of twisted and going into kind of really a kind of resistant holding pattern. And starting from those movements again, you're just going to increase the kind of twisting of the structure. Try and look for a form where you're neutral as possible in that asymmetrical position. Go into the cut and flip into the cut there. Just play with it in your plan. Really nice. All right. Let's just go to one idea here, which is really kind of establishing the left hand as the anchor for the sword. So quite a lot of times, and none of this is wrong, and actually in a lot of sword schools, you'll actually find the grip goes quite high up and quite close. Really depends on the school, and that grip actually gives you very dexterous movements, very fast movement. And working with the shinken, that's one of the grips you'll see, particularly in some of the sword schools, and you'll see it a lot in some of the kendo stuff as well. So and the grip's always going to be malleable, so there is no one set grip. But just to explore this, if you think about the idea, Brendan actually talks about this a lot, which is a really great one, which is like creating another joint or an extra joint down the arm. So it's like the hand connection to the bokken becomes like a second elbow in a sense. So just play with that, and the grip that you're going to look at to kind of achieve that is right at the base of the sword. So if you think about kind of wrapping from the little finger right to the end. Also, if you look at a lot of shinken or katana, you'll have a rounder pommel, and that allows the little things kind of wrap a little bit more, because you kind of have a straight edge on the bokken. You kind of miss that aspect of it. But you can do the same kind of thing just by wrapping at the end. But just play with that. Feel where the grip is. Feel where the grip's strong, basically. So if I'm kind of off in that position, even a little bit to the side, then all the pressure of the weight of the bokken starts to go into the thumb joint. And again, just noticing that, and then adopting a position where it's going to be a little bit more secure. And the wrist should be free in that position, so it shouldn't feel, again, that I'm gripping it so heavy that the wrist braces and locks, and I lose all that mobility. So look for supple grip, which allows this motion of the wrist, and allows this motion, and allows maybe a little bit of turning motion. Yeah, a lot of that's in the forearm, but the wrist is what's going to also allow a greater range of motion through that. Just play with that maybe a little bit. And then just start to bring the right hand in, but very lightly, so kind of in the fingertip area, so there's hardly any grip. And just play now with different hand positions. So you can go very wide with the bokken, and obviously that's the advantage of the bokken. It doesn't have the tsuba, so you can kind of play up. Obviously you don't want to go way too far up, because then you're starting to change the idea of the weapon totally. But just play within this kind of range, and it's kind of context dependent. Obviously there's allowances in the grip, and there's lots of times when we're shifting the grip on the weapon, particularly if you go to some of the ski work, even the 𝗧𝗔𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗨𝗦, and later a lot of the variations on the ski work, they're going to involve lots of different hand positions. So again, I need a grip which is very flexible, fluid, and changeable, basically. So one fixed grip, one size fits all is never going to be the thing, and particularly for art like Aikido, it's just not going to be that way. So really working in the idea of change, being able to be malleable, adaptable. So then just start to maybe play with it, keeping the idea that the left hand's the anchor, keep the right hand supple, and just start to maybe play with things like ski movements. Again, give yourself an allowance of this. You could also go right into kind of 𝘥𝘢𝘪𝘏 work. You could play with the same exercise there. But again, just to explore, again, the idea of the left hand as the anchor, and the right hand maybe is just there to guide. There's one idea that you'll come across a lot in sword schools. Not always the case, but sometimes you'll hear lots of talk about the left hand being the power hand, the right hand being the director. Kind of true enough most of the time to be useful. So just play with that a little bit, and then just start to kind of swing maybe the sword a little bit. So you're working maybe more here, and again keeping the left hand as free as possible, and go to really a pace where you can keep that flexibility in the wrist. So as soon as you go, in my case, if I go a little bit too fast, the wrist starts going to brace, and then I start to lose that flexibility in the joint. So go at a speed where you can keep the left hand, again, as the kind of base anchor, power for the sword, but again, loose enough that you're not restricting the movements of the forearm and the movements of the wrist. So slow is better. The danger of going slow is that I can use a lot of power to kind of just hold the sword in place. So really allow yourself to sometimes change the pace, go a little bit faster, but again, notice when you do, maybe power starts to creep in. And I basically in the training need to create a separation between speed and power. Yeah, and obviously they come together later. But playing with things like going very slow, heavy, and maybe going like fast and light. So just kind of explore a little bit again. So you might start to come across, again, patterns coming to the body, like slicing, cutting, thrusting pattern. Just follow them a little bit. Yeah, cool. That's it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and if you think about a lot of the variation stuff we're doing later, like the right hand's going to be shifting onto the back of the blade. Maybe the left hand starts to shift. So just start to explore now. So again, it's not always the case that the left hand is the power. So sometimes we're going into these kind of positions, the right hand takes over. So the general rule is that it's the hand at the back of the weapon that's going to be the power hand. And when that changes, the right hand becomes, and you could obviously switch the grip totally. Nice to do every so often. To kind of train it symmetrically, just to kind of check in with the body. Really feels like being a total absolute beginner again. What the hell is this? Useful. But I prefer to kind of sit here. Great. And then maybe let's just play with one hand. So if you think about the right hand, we go specific to the right hand as the kind of director. You don't have a lot of power with this unless you specifically train it. And there's examples, obviously, in the tradition, sword work tradition, of people that can work with one hand in the sword. Musashi was the famous one. Also, our sensei teacher Takeda was another. He was famous for being able to wield actually two swords, two full-size swords that he would go to sparring in the dojos with. One hand, using one hand, surprise everybody and beat them all. So, not that you can't generate power with just one hand. Traditionally, the katana is a really a two-handed weapon. But it's just nice to play with. And if you think about the stuff we were doing before, maybe starting to stretch out, open up the movement, extend out, reach out, and again, just explore a little bit. Different movements. You'll obviously get sword work patterns come up. That's cool. But also just think about in terms of moving the joint through space. And then maybe just play with bringing the left hand in every so often. Maybe it's starting to come into just a kind of soft contact with it. So very light. And maybe it's just for a little bit, and maybe it kind of leaves it again. If the arm starts to get very tired, maybe go a little bit slower, do a little bit less effort. Or the alternative is just switch the hand. So just go, but maybe to the left hand, leave the right arm alone. And just work with the other hand. Very nice. Okay, cool. Very nice, John. Great. Nice. Great. Okay, great. And then we'll just put a little bit of function behind it. I imagine I'm like in a, oh, actually, yeah. I mean, like a grass with like overgrown grass full of weeds. And then I'm thinking about the weeds here, and I'm just going to kind of cut it down. Yeah, and again, it's very light. So this is just a really practice just to bring a bit of function against the sides. Think about connecting in now. So if that's the weave, think about there's going to be a point of contact, and at that point of contact, the body needs to be very grounded, very centered. If it's not, again, it's not that I won't cut it; it will cut, but the body's out of balance. So, really simple idea. It's just a sense that you're here, there at the point of contact, and then just let the body drop into it. So do it lightly, and this is a practice I would do a lot with like weeds, tall grass. Very useful practice. And again, think of the lightest possible way you can do it. It's a really nice one to do with a katana, shinken, and actually cut through. And again, the minimum amount of effort I need to cut, and it's surprisingly little. You've got a very sharp shinken. You just need the body basically there and behind it. And again, balance, fluidity, all that kind of stuff. Think about any kind of sport which has a racket, tennis or golf, stick, club, anything like that. All these kind of motions are actually functioning on the same way. A slightly different intention behind sword work and golf. Hitting the ball, cutting the person down. Very different, but actually same mechanics. Very good. Very nice. Good. As a really famous video, I'll try and share it to the group if I remember, but it's of a very famous sword master in Japan, and he's in like a wheat field, and he's got loads of straw mats kind of there, and he runs basically full speed, full power through the field and cuts them all down. Yeah, with like one ki, and it's like it's the thing that made me want to start martial arts, because it was like cool, very cool. I'll try and find it and share it. It's a good one, but just think about that. And if you think about like one breath, it doesn't have to be a ki, although it could. Obviously, if you go to speed and power, but think about kind of if we go maybe into this kind of position. Don't think about kind of specific patterns, but calm here, and then think about just drawing a breath in, a natural breath in, and then just go into that practice. Do a few with just one breath, in the sense that you're just going to kind of and when you feel the need to breathe in, pause, come back to that neutral position, and just take a couple of breaths maybe. Again, go lightly with it. See how many cuts you can kind of get through as you do it with kind of one breath. And again, not to control the breath, just to notice its limitations maybe. Maybe I can just do one or two. Maybe kind of drawing it out with minimum effort, maybe start to get 5, 6. And again, just notice it. The worst thing you do with breathwork stuff like this is like, oh God, I'm so bad at breathwork. Can only do 2 cuts in one breath. So just notice it. Very And then maybe the last couple of minutes, just play maybe more of a formal kind of way of doing it. Or if you think about just the saburi and the cuts that we would do quite regularly, same idea. Think about kind of maybe taking a clear breath and just find a few cuts with it. So bring in ski work, And again, it should be kind of a pace where I can continue talking with it without stressing the body. And as you go through it, just find the natural points in the movement where you're going to start to bring the exhale, bring the inhale back in, bring the breath in, continue maybe more patterns. And if you feel a lot of tension, stress build up, just come back to neutral. Take a few breaths. Start again. So if you think about the 𝗧𝗔𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗨𝗦𝗨 or the work we do in the 𝗧𝗪𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗨𝗦, particularly when you feel yourself kind of drop out, become distracted or get distracted by something, just come back to neutral, start again, reset. Just keep going with this for the last 4 minutes or so. Nice. Great. Very good. And again, maybe if you like, maybe start to find one pattern and it kind of starts to come out. Just follow it a little bit, go in a little bit deeper. Again, novelty is really good, but going in deep is where you're going to kind of make a lot of changes. So maybe fix the pattern with flexibility. Last couple of minutes with it. You're kind of stuck for a pattern, you can't kind of get one. Think about any of the 𝗧𝗪𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗨𝗦 or any of the patterning work that we do. Marina music. Serena go. Okay, cool. All right. Cool. Last minute, we'll just release out a little bit. So not too stressful practice, but just find a bit of shoulder width, release out, release the shoulder. Take a couple of deep breaths. Nice ones like a kind of sighing breath, really. So think about in through the nose or mouth, and maybe just like a slow release down, release out the shoulders. Take a couple and just slowly work your way down to the ground with the arms. So maybe takes a few breaths. Just find a point where you're nice and comfortable, relaxed. You can release the head, shoulders, neck, hands. Start to empty all the air out the lungs. So think about coming to an out breath, gently holding it. And then when you feel the need to breathe in, slowly start to bring the body up. And just a raise up over the top with the breath in. And gently just into a roll down with the breath out. And we'll just do 3. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding down. You feel you want to kind of stay down in that position, release out a little bit, just follow it. Reaching up, open up the back, fold forward, breath out. And the last one, as you come back to standing. Last thing, just gently vibrating. Keep it like a very gentle, kind of a pulsing heartbeat kind of shape. Feel the feet in the ground, relax the shoulders. Feel the top of the head, the crown of the head, gently pulling up. Great. Perfect. We will stop right there. Great. Domo arigato gozaimasu. Okie dokie. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.